The head of Pakistan, Khan, he was a great cricket player. He became the head of Pakistan. He said it was the biggest moment in my life. When I heard that Soleimani was killed, I left my office. I walked to my home. I stayed in my home in solitude for 1 week. It was the biggest event that ever happened to me. He was the biggest cricket player. That's like being a great NFL player, a great baseball player. He was said to be just about the best, handsome guy. He became the boss, Pakistan. He said, I left and I contemplated for 1 week. It was the biggest event of my life. I've never had anything like that happen. And many people felt like that. And I heard there were repercussions, all of the things, but you have no choice. You have no choice. I told the story the other night, which I'd never told before, that when Iran shot down a drone, a metal drone, it was 14 years old, not very valuable, flying very near Iran. Behind it was an airplane with 39 engineers and pilots in it. And Iran shot down the drone. I said, did they shoot down the plane behind it? Because you have engineers that generally follow the drones, right? They said, no, sir, they didn't. I said, I see. They shot down the drone, but not the plane. They could have shot down the plane, which is about 5 times bigger. I said, that's interesting. But we had to hit them. So we hit them quite hard. We knocked out their radar and different things. And we heard some word back from them, because I made the statement that if they hit us back, we're going to do things to them that they've never thought possible. And Iran, this is Iran, the same Iran that's wiping Biden's face in the mud. They called us up, and first time I told this story was a week ago. They called us up and they said, listen, we have no choice. We have to hit you because we have our own self-respect. And I understood that. We hit them, they got to do something. We're going to launch 18 missiles at a certain military base that you have. And you remember that night. Interesting night. I was the only one that wasn't nervous because I knew what was going to happen. They told us that don't be concerned. We're going to launch 18 missiles at your military base, but none of them will hit the base. These are very accurate missiles. These are missiles that essentially never miss. They're very reliable, very accurate. 5 of them blew up in the air, didn't make it, and the others hit outside the base area. You remember that, Louis, you were there, right? Louis was very nervous. I wasn't nervous because I knew something that Louis didn't know. So they told me that they were going to hit us, but they just had to do it. Now, I never told that story before, but you know what that story is about? Respect for our nation. Respect for our nation. So we have an event coming up that I believe will be the biggest election in the history of our country. We have an event coming up that is important for lots of the obvious reasons, but important because there has never been a more incompetent, more corrupt, or worse president in the history of the United States than crooked Joe Biden. What he's doing, he is destroying our country. And the happiest person alive today is a man named Jimmy Carter, because Jimmy Carter, I would say, had a brilliant presidency if you compare it to what we're going through with this person. He had an absolutely brilliant presidency. But we're going to do things immediately, within 24 hours. We're going to stop the invasion of our southern and, by the way, our northern border, which is not great either. But we are going to stop immediately. And we have great people like Brandon Judd, Border Patrol, the people at ICE, Tom Homan, who's fantastic, Central Casting. We have great, they'll do it within 48 hours. like the caravan I told you that's on its way up. They wouldn't have caravan. Well, they had caravans when I came up with the name. I believe they'll say, oh, it wasn't really you, it was somebody. I believe I came up with the name because they started forming these caravans. And they don't put their best in those caravans. You know, these countries are very smart. They put people that they don't want to have in El Salvador and Honduras, in Guatemala, in other places. And many of them now are coming from parts of Africa. Yesterday they had 18 people they got from the Congo, and four of them were from jails. By the way, our prisoners are like the nicest people in the world compared to some of the prisoners that our country is taking right now. Our prisoners are refined, wonderful people, even if they were murderers, compared to the people that are coming out of some of these cells from MS-13, from South America, from Africa. They're destroying our country. And we have to get them out. We have to get them out, and we have to get them out fast. So, you remember the Trump travel ban. I imposed the Trump travel ban from any terror-plagued country where they hate America. You know, when they're shouting in their country, death to America, typically they're not going to be great citizens. This is typical. Goes back to what we said about common sense. Death to America, death to America. By the way, we'd love to be a citizen. No, thanks. We don't want it. And I took a lot of heat, and then our Supreme Court. You know, we picked 3 justices, great justices, and over 300 federal judges, of which you have a lot of them. You have a lot of them right here in Texas. So that really helped. And by the way, you have a very good Attorney General who went through hell. He went through hell. And I was very happy to have helped. I was very happy to have helped, but they shouldn't have done that to him because he's one of the best in the country, and they shouldn't have done that to him. But it's one of those things. But if you hate America, if you want to abolish Israel, if you sympathize with jihadists, then we really don't want you coming into our country. We don't want you coming into our country. So we have an election coming up, and if you remember, and I know everyone here probably does, I only see very few, very, very young, but I do see young audiences now. We have the youngest audience. I noticed in the polls that have really been spectacular. We're leading DeSanctimonious by 54 points, 60 points. 61 came out today. We're at 70, almost 70, 69, and he's at like 8. It's like a wounded bird falling from the sky. Oh, who is that? Oh, that's Ron DeSanctimonious. Look,